The final matchup of the week, Seattle at the Giants. We can talk about Seattle in a second, Tom, because there's some interesting pieces there. Is there anybody on this Giants offense you can start in a standard 12-team league?
I think you kind of have to start Darren Waller. He flopped against the Niners on TV on that Thursday night fixture, which always feels awful. You start the week in a bad way. It's a onesie position, so it's hard to recover from it because you've lost that kind of advantage. But the Seahawks allow the sixth most receiving yards to tight ends. We've talked week in, week out about how they struggle in that area of the field. They also allow the most points to slot wide receivers. So that's an area of the field they really struggle with. I think that if the Giants have any kind of like good level of scouting, that they'll latch onto that and that they'll target that. I'm not sure that I would start any of the slot wide receivers. You know, we saw Wan'Dale Robinson out there, but I think it's fair to say he's not 100%. Paris Campbell's been running a lot of routes, but he's not done anything with them. So you can start Darren Waller. I think you can probably start Darius Slayton. I think it's possible that his Seahawks defense isn't particularly good. In terms of the Seahawks side of things, you know, you don't need me to tell you that you start Tyler Lockett, you start DK Metcalf, and you start Kenneth Walker. He is losing snaps, which was pretty predictable. We talked about it plenty of times, but he's also had 10 targets in 3 games and 4 touchdowns. So whilst you're getting that, even if he is down to 50% of the snaps like last week, you can live with it. It's only when those disappear that you probably want to start diving deeper. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, we've got to talk about it. We were both incredibly high on him. I was drafting him like crazy in best ball, and I still think there's plenty of time for that to turn good. But his average depth of target is 2.7 yards, and that's similar to Rondale Moore and Kadarius Toney, which isn't a good thing. Like, they're using him very singularly, and it's not very easy for him to be massively fantasy relevant without catching 10 balls on those kind of targets. But yeah, anyone you're excited for, Rich?
On the JSM point, I think it's really interesting. Basically, the Seahawks aren't running enough 11 personnel for him to be getting the volume that he needs. That's the thing that needs to change. They talked about it in the offseason. I think as long as Kenneth Walker is running the ball as he is very well out of those 12 personnel sets, I think that's going to keep Jackson Smith and Jigba off the field. So I think we need more Zach Charbonnet for Jackson Smith and Jigba to start producing. The guy I'm interested in, and I'm keen to pick your brains on whether maybe this is a showdown option, Wan'Dale Robinson. We saw him back for the first time last week. He basically hardly saw the field, but commanding 56% targets per route run rate. It's clear that when he is on the field, the Giants really want to get the ball in his hands. Is that a guy that you could maybe attack on like a showdown slate?
So, yeah, I mean, he had 11 snaps and 5 targets, which is pretty incredible, really. In terms of showdown, so much of it comes down to price dependent stuff and how your lineup's constructed. So this week for the showdown stuff, I haven't looked as far ahead as Sunday Night Football. I would imagine that he's probably going to end up being in a price where it is interesting and people take a look at it. The pricing hasn't been released for it yet, so I will take a look at that when it comes out. But if he's down below $1,000, I would expect him to be incredibly popular because people will see those 5 targets last week. If he's a little more expensive where people have to make a bigger decision on him, then that would be more interesting to me.
And if you want more of Tom's showdown thoughts and showdown takes, you can join, little button below, get in that Discord. You find all of Tom's write-ups, all of that good DFS content that's going to help you make money every single week for as little as 99p a month. You can join the Discord. I think
Pays
it's
for itself.
$5.99 for the golden deck chair, and you get all of Tom's DFS content. We're going to finish up, Tom, with some questions here. T Money says, I'm stuck between starting Fields, Burrow, or T-Law. That's Trevor Lawrence for me.
Yeah, I'd go Trevor Lawrence there.
Okay, next one. Pick one, 0.5 PPR, Aaron Jones, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett for me.
Yeah, that's an easy one. And last question of the show. Not sure who should start my wide receivers or flex. I've got AJ Brown, Puka, Pittman, Ridley, Tank Dell, and Ayuk. I guess rank them in order, if you could, Tom.
I mean, you've got to start AJ Brown. I think that's a no-brainer. I think Ayuk is an absolute smash if Debo misses time. I'd be playing Pittman, Ridley. I think for me, Tank Dell is last out of these lot. I think AJ Brown, Ayuk, Puka, Pittman, Ridley. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
this
for me,
is an embarrassment of riches. This,
I think this is just a humble brag here. So for me, I've got this is presuming Debo plays. I'd go AJ Brown, Puka, Ridley, Pittman, Ayuk, Tank Dell. But if Debo doesn't play, then Ayuk jumps straight up to probably second in that list, quite frankly. If you're here, if you stuck around an hour and 15 minutes, thank you ever so much. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button because you know there's more content coming your way. Best of luck this week, guys. I hope everybody has a phenomenal week and scores all the fantasy points in the world, unless you're playing against me. And we will be back very soon. Tom's got DFS content coming on Friday, so make sure you join that Discord before then.